Have you ever wondered if the reality you see around you is really real? I'm not talking about illusions or dreams. I mean this chair you're sitting on, the walls around you, the sky above your head. What if all of it, the trees, the planets, your body, even your deepest memories, is not as solid as it seems? What if everything is just a projection? Now, I know it sounds like science fiction, like The Matrix or some trippy Netflix documentary. But here's the crazy part. Some of the most brilliant scientists and philosophers in history have suggested exactly this, that we live inside a holographic universe. And before you roll your eyes, let me tell you, this isn't just a spiritual metaphor. This idea has roots in cutting-edge physics, in consciousness research, and in the work of minds like Itzhak Bentov and David Bohm. And when you piece it all together, it might just shatter the way you've been looking at life. The hologram principle. So let's start simple. What is a hologram? You've probably seen one on a credit card or an ID, that shiny 3D image that seems to float in space. A hologram is created by using lasers to record light waves in a way that captures depth. Here's the trippy part. If you take a holographic plate and break it in half, each half can still project the entire image, not just a piece, the whole thing. Every fragment contains the whole picture. Now apply this to the universe. Imagine if every tiny part of reality contained the blueprint of the whole cosmos. That means right now, inside every single cell of your body, you hold the pattern of galaxies, stars, and dimensions beyond imagination. Sound wild? Bentov thought so too. Bentov's leap. Itzhak Bentov, the same mystical scientist whose work caught the attention of the CIA during the Cold War, believed that our brains function holographically. That's why sometimes a single memory can bring back an entire cascade of feelings, smells, and images. It's not like pulling a file from a cabinet. It's more like shining a light on a holographic plate. The whole thing lights up at once. Bentov stretched this idea even further. He suggested that the entire universe itself is holographic, meaning your consciousness isn't just a byproduct of your brain. It's a window into the entire cosmos. David Bohm and the hidden order. Now let's bring in the physicist David Bohm, a student of Einstein and one of the greatest quantum thinkers of the 20th century. Bohm proposed something called the implicate order. He said the reality we see, the streets, the buildings, the people, is just the explicate order, the surface layer. Beneath it, hidden from our senses, lies the implicate order, a vast ocean of interconnected information. Think of it like this. Imagine you're watching waves on the ocean. You see peaks and troughs, rising and falling. But what you don't see is the deep current underneath, guiding all the waves together. According to Bohm, our daily reality is just those surface ripples. The holographic field beneath is the true reality. And if that's the case, then maybe you and I aren't separate at all. Maybe we're different ripples on the same sea. Why this matters. So, what does this mean for you, sitting here watching this? It means that when you feel intuition, when you think of someone and they suddenly call, when you dream of something before it happens, it might not just be coincidence. It could be evidence that we're plugged into a shared holographic field. Telepathy? Déjà vu? Synchronicities that feel too perfect to be random? Maybe they're not glitches in the system. Maybe they're reminders that the system itself is holographic. The simulation twist. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Some modern thinkers, like Elon Musk and simulation theorists, argue that the universe is actually a computer program, that we're living inside a kind of cosmic simulation. At first glance, the holographic theory and simulation theory sound different, but look closer, they're almost cousins. Both suggest that what we perceive as solid reality is actually a projection from a deeper source. Whether that source is a cosmic consciousness or an advanced civilization's computer, the effect is the same. We are living inside an image, not the source itself. The everyday magic. Here's the kicker. If this is true, then your thoughts, your emotions, your very state of being isn't just in your head. It's rippling through the entire hologram. You are constantly influencing and being influenced by the universe at large. Think of a violin string vibrating. If another violin is nearby, tuned to the same frequency, it will start to vibrate on its own. That's resonance. And Bentov believed our minds work the same way. Each thought you have is a vibration echoing across the holographic field, influencing others in ways you can't even see. Which raises the question, what kind of reality are you projecting right now? Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. Your body as an orchestra, not a single instrument, but a whole symphony. The heart is the bass drum, steady and grounding. The breath is the wind section, rising and falling. The brain? The strings, quick, complex, endlessly weaving melodies. When all those instruments are tuned to the same frequency, the music becomes more than pretty sound. It becomes a doorway. This is where Bentov's science gets personal. He didn't only scribble cosmic cartoons, he built machines and took measurements. Using instruments like the ballistocardiograph, a device that records tiny movements of the body caused by the heartbeat, he observed something remarkable in meditators and deep contemplatives. The breath slowed, the heart's rhythm smoothed into a sine wave, and the electrical patterns of the brain began to synchronize between hemispheres. In other words, the orchestra was finally playing the same score. Why does that matter? Because synchronized systems resonate. When two tuning forks match pitch, one will make the other vibrate, even without touch. Bentov believed that when your brain, heart, and breath align with each other and with the Earth's natural frequency, a new kind of perception opens. Enter the Schumann Resonance, the planet's own background hum. Scientists measure this global electromagnetic heartbeat at roughly 7.83 Hz. Bentov noticed human EEG and bodily rhythms often drift close to that range during certain deep states. He suggested that when we lock into this planetary beat, we can literally tune ourselves to a wider field of information. This is where the mystical term Kundalini slides in. Ancient traditions describe Kundalini as a coiled energy at the base of the spine that, when awakened, travels upward and lights up perception. Bentov reimagined this as physiological resonance. As the body's frequencies organize and align, energy flows where it once blocked. The nervous system becomes a clearer antenna. Thoughts stop feeling like private flickers and start to feel like signals on a larger channel. And then there's Bentov's most theatrical idea, the flicker of reality. He proposed the notion that reality isn't a continuous stream, but a rapid on-off strobe, a cosmic frame rate if you like. Our senses only sample the on frames we're tuned to. But those brief off gaps? Bentov thought those might be the seams where other possibilities, dimensions, or times slip through. He loved little experiments that anyone can try. One of his favorites involved a simple clock with a second hand. Sit comfortably. Let your breathing slow. Then let your attention rest lightly on the movement of that second hand, not forcing, just watching. People report that suddenly the second hand seems to hesitate, even freeze for a heartbeat. Is the clock actually slowing? Probably not. But your subjective time, your internal sense of now, has shifted. In that shifted subjective experience, reality stretches. 1 second on the clock may feel like 5 inside your mind. That stretching could be the same mechanism that gives mystics their sense of timelessness during deep meditation. If Bentov is right, then our subjective time is a dial we can learn to turn. And when that dial moves, so do the doors of perception. Now imagine combining all this, a body tuned to Earth, a heart and brain in synchrony, attention slowed into an elastic now. You become what Bentov called a sensitive instrument. Tiny flutters in consciousness turn into whole visions. Intuition becomes reliable. Synchronicities intensify. The world doesn't change, your tuning does, and with it, your access to the field beneath the surface. That idea, tuning the instrument of your body, is one reason intelligence agencies once took an interest in these fringe scientists. If you can reliably shift subjective time, amplify sensitivity to non-local information, or train people to see without eyes, the applications range from the sublime to the unsettling. Which brings us straight to final part. So why did governments care? Think of the Cold War, two superpowers racing for any edge. If consciousness could be trained into a tool to locate secret sites, to remote view distant events, it would be military gold. Projects like Stargate and the Gateway experiments are not pure myth. Declassified documents show intelligence agencies did fund research into remote perception. Bentov's ideas about resonance, holograms, and altered time fit perfectly into that landscape. He was part engineer, part mystic, and part alarm bell for anyone who thought reality was only bricks and particle physics. That truth is messy. On the one hand, these experiments opened remarkable windows into consciousness, systematic attempts to map the mapless. On the other hand, they raised ethical red flags, the weaponization of mind, psychological manipulation, and the danger of treating human consciousness as an instrument to be calibrated for control rather than compassion. But let's step away from conspiracies for a moment and land back where we started, on the practical, the human, the luminous. If the universe is holographic, if each piece contains the whole, then the way we move through life matters more than ever. Every thought, every intention, every small act of kindness is a vibration. The ripple you send will interfere with other ripples. Bentov's work invites responsibility. If we are part of a field, then living carelessly is like tuning an orchestra to cacophony. So, how do you tune your instrument? Start with stillness. Bentov's empirical results began with slowed breath and quiet attention. 10 minutes of pulse-slowing meditation is not mystical fluff. It's a practical retuning. Practice micro-observations. Try the clock experiment. Record what changes when you pay attention differently. The goal isn't to prove magic, it's to train your subjective time. That expanded time is where insight lives. Use sound intentionally. Study cymatics. Drop vibrations into sand or water and watch patterns form. Chant a tone and listen as your body settles into resonance. Sound shapes matter. They are the pottery wheel on which consciousness molds experience. Cultivate empathy as resonance. Bentov said, minds overlap. Feeling compassion is a literal tuning, not just a warm feeling. When you listen deeply to someone, your vibration can soothe theirs. That's practical, powerful, low-cost transformation. Experiment with boundary-pushing practices carefully. Breathwork, prolonged silence, and subtle movement practices can shift your system, but treat them with respect. People respond differently. If things get intense, seek guidance. Now for the big question. Is the holographic model true? Science might one day map the implicate order more fully. Maybe we'll find equations to describe the field. Or maybe the metaphor will remain an exquisitely useful map without becoming literal truth. Either way, the practical outcome is generous. When you act as if your thoughts matter, you live differently. That's a test you can apply today. Here's a final image to carry with you. Picture a stained glass window. From the outside, sunlight pours through and paints the floor with color. Move to the other side, and the same window still contains the pattern. Each shard holds the whole story, and each story changes how the light becomes. If we are shards, then each of us holds a pattern of the whole. Tune your shard, play your note, See what happens when the ripple hits the room. So, are we living inside a cosmic projection? Maybe. Is the map crazy? Absolutely. Is it worth exploring? Without question. History's most dangerous ideas often began as playful sketches on napkins. And Itzhak Bentov drew enough sketches to make us uncomfortable and curious. If this video made your spine tingle even once, do two things. First, like and share so more people can feel the itch of wonder. Second, tell me in the comments, which experiment will you try first? The clock trick, a sound resonance test, or a simple 5-minute silent tune-in? I'll read every answer. Until next time, keep your mind open, your breath slow, and your sense of wonder loud. Because if the universe is a hologram, then every small change in your vibration changes the picture you see. And that's the kind of power worth practicing.